Have you ever thought that maybe your entire life has been about following orders without even realizing it? That every move you make, every dream you think belongs to you, every target someone else has convinced you to aim for actually has nothing to do with what you truly want? What if your education was never meant to set you free, but instead to turn you into someone who works well, gets things done, makes money for others, and stays under control? What if the real problem is not what you are doing with your life, but all the things you have never had the courage to ask questions about? Before we dive in, if you into self-growth, mindset, and building real inner strength, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Let's grow together. Take a good look at what is happening around you. People are always rushing somewhere. They are all chasing after something, whether it is money, getting people to like them, being successful, or hearing others clap for them. But do any of them actually know where they are headed? Or are they just running because they see everyone else doing the same thing? Here is something that might be hard to hear, but it is the truth. The people who run this system are not scared of criminals. They are not afraid of people who protest in the streets. They do not worry about those who fight back by yelling and making noise. The ones who really scare them are the people who do not need anything from the system. These are the people who do not beg for what they want. These are the people who cannot be purchased with promises or threats. When someone does not chase after money, that person is not broke or poor. That person cannot be tamed or controlled, and that makes him the biggest danger the system has ever faced. Why is this person so dangerous? Because you cannot offer him bribes to change his mind. You cannot sell him dreams and goals that are not really his own. You cannot trap him with debt, worry, or the pressure to prove himself to anyone. He lives completely outside the rules of their game. And because of that, he destroys the whole thing just by existing. Do you understand what this really means? His very existence shows that everything they have told you about progress and success is a lie. He proves to you, without having to say anything at all, that it is actually possible to live your life without crawling on the ground, without pretending to be someone you are not, and without running after your bills like a dog that is trying to catch a bone but never quite gets there. Do you want to know why seeing someone like this makes you feel uncomfortable? Because when you look at him, something deep inside your soul suddenly understands that you could be free too. But you are too scared to try it. He becomes like a mirror that shows you everything you could become if you just stop doing what everyone tells you to do. And seeing that reflection really hurts. It hurts because it makes you realize that all your hard work, all your stress, and all your obsession with making it to the top are really just chains made of gold. Sure, they look shiny and beautiful, but they are still chains that keep you locked up. The person who does not run after money has not disconnected himself from the world around him. He has disconnected himself from being afraid. He does not run because he has already gotten to where he needs to be. He does not pretend to be someone else because he has already figured out who he really is. And he does not try to compete with others because he knows that nobody really wins a game where the only way to truly win is to refuse to play at all. So I want you to think really carefully about these questions. Who is it that taught you to always be running towards something? Who is the one that benefits when you are always in a hurry? Who convinced you that if you are not producing something useful, then you have no value as a person? And here is the most important question of all. Who would you become if you had the courage to just stop running? If you did dare to stop, you would learn the second secret that nobody wants you to figure out. It is not just that money will not make you free. Being productive all the time will not make you free either. They have sold you the idea that productivity is a good thing, that it shows you have discipline, and that it is the road that leads to success. But the real truth is that they have trained you like a pet to be useful to them. And being useful in this system does not mean the same thing as having value. It means the same thing as being used by others. The message they have drilled into your head is simple. If you are not producing something, you do not matter. If you are not doing more today than you did yesterday, you are failing at life. If you are not busy every minute of the day, you are losing the race. Does this sound like something you have heard before? They taught you to feel guilty whenever you take a break. They taught you to feel bad when you have free time on your hands. They made you suspicious of taking things slowly. They made you hate quiet moments when nothing is happening. But let me ask you something important. That voice inside your head that is always pushing you to get results every single minute, whose voice is that really? Does it actually belong to you? Or did someone else put it there without you even knowing it? Here's what you need to understand. The people who need you to keep following their rules cannot handle it when someone refuses to play along. When a person stops producing things just for the sake of producing them, something important happens. That person starts to think for themselves. And when a human being begins to think, that human being wakes up from the dream they have been living. They step away from the crowd. They start asking questions that make the system nervous. Questions like, why am I doing this? Who really benefits from all my hard work? What am I actually getting back for all this effort? And what am I losing every time I chase after things I do not even want? When you live your whole life just trying to be efficient and productive, you turn yourself into a machine part. You stop being a real person. And the saddest part about this whole thing is that you do it to yourself on purpose. Nobody's holding a gun to your head and forcing you to fill up every hour of your day with meaningless busy work. You do it because someone taught you that if you are not constantly doing something, then you are nobody. But I want you to listen to this very carefully. That empty feeling you have inside is not because you are not being productive enough. That empty feeling comes from obeying too much. They have convinced you that taking a break means you are lazy. They told you that stopping means you are failing. They made you believe that feeling peaceful is something you should be suspicious about. That is why they hide behind their schedules, their deadlines, and their duties. They are not doing this because they are responsible people. They are doing this because they are panicking. Looking inside themselves is much more frightening than any business meeting they will ever have to attend. And here comes another truth that is going to hurt. Nobody who has real peace inside themselves needs to be useful every single minute of every single day. Only people who are broken inside think that moving around constantly is the same thing as having a purpose in life. Only people who are empty inside fill up their calendar with activities just so they do not have to hear their own silence. The system knows this about people, and it uses this weakness against them. The system knows that if it keeps you busy all the time, you will not have time to think. You will not question what you are doing with your life. You will not change anything about your situation. You will be a slave who chose to be a slave. And you will even be thankful for the opportunity. Do you see what is happening now? The person who does not run after money also does not run after other people. This approval. He does not need to prove anything to anyone. And that makes him impossible to control. Because you cannot control someone who does not care what other people think about them. Do you want to know something that does not make sense? The more you run towards your goals, the more empty you feel inside. Because you never actually get there. It is never enough. Something is always missing from your life. There is always someone else who has more than you do, more money than you have, more recognition than you get, more stuff than you own. And so you keep running. You keep wearing yourself out. You keep telling yourself lies about why you are doing all of this. Meanwhile, he, the one who is not running anywhere, just breathes calmly. And you look at him, and you cannot understand what you are seeing. How can he be so calm when everyone else is stressed out? How can he live without being in a hurry all the time? How can he not want more than what he already has? And here's the secret that explains everything. It is not that he has less ambition than everyone else. It is that he understands more about life than everyone else does. It is not that he has given up on being successful. It is that he has changed what success means to him. And in that moment, when you see him and you sense what he has figured out, something inside you breaks open. Because you realize that he has won a game that you did not even know you were playing. And then the questions hit you like a punch in the stomach. How much of my life have I given away just because I was afraid people would not accept me? How many decisions did I make just so I could feel like I was worth something? How many times did I choose the path that would exhaust me the most, just because that path would get me more applause from other people? And most importantly, what would happen if I had the courage to live without running around all the time, without being afraid, without feeling obligated to anyone, and without wearing masks to hide who I really am? What would happen if I got off this racetrack and started to truly exist, not because of what I do, but because of who I am as a person? And right there, when you dare to imagine what your life would be like without all the running, without the constant pressure to produce something, and without that obsession with having more and more things, the real fight begins. But this fight is not with other people, this fight is with yourself. Because when you stop being in a hurry all the time, the emptiness shows up. And that emptiness reveals everything you have been trying to avoid dealing with. It shows you how much you depend on getting results to feel good about yourself. It shows you how addicted you are to getting recognition from other people. It shows you how scared you are of not having a clear goal to chase after. And this is exactly where the system traps you again. But this time, the trap is not outside of you. It is inside of you. Because you do not need chains when you have become your own prison guard. You have been trained to hate it when things slow down. You have been trained to be afraid of being bored. You have been taught to believe that being still means you are lost. But what if I told you that this scary emptiness you feel when you stop running is actually just the doorway that leads you back to yourself? The person who does not run after money has not given up on the world around him. He has given up on being controlled like a puppet by other people. And that is what makes all the difference. The system does not hate this person because he does not have money. The system hates him because he is his own ruler. His peace of mind does not go up and down based on what the stock market is doing. His worth as a person does not change depending on what the public thinks about him. He does not need to prove anything to anybody at all. Do you understand how incredibly powerful that really is? Most people cannot make it through even 1 hour without getting approval from someone else. They need people to like their posts on social media. They need text messages from friends. They need compliments from strangers. They need to see good numbers on their performance reviews. They need everything except the one thing that actually matters: themselves. But this person is enough all by himself. And in the world we live in today, that is like declaring war against everything the system stands for. Because we live in a society that has convinced you that your worth is measured by what you produce, not by who you are as a human being. So when someone dares to look inside themselves for answers, he becomes like a mirror that everyone else tries to avoid looking into. And you know what the most interesting thing about this is? This kind of person, this free man, is not someone who hates being around other people. He is not a hermit who lives alone in the woods. He is not someone who does not care about anything or anyone. What he is selective about everything in his life. And that is what scares people about him, because he chooses very carefully who he talks to and who he listens to. He chooses what he reads and what he watches. He chooses where he puts his time and energy. And when you do not have any filters in your own life, being around his presence makes you feel uncomfortable. It exposes things about you that you do not want to see, because he does not want to be part of every single thing that happens. He does not want to be in every place at every time. He does not want every person in the world to like him. But you do want all of those things, because you still believe that if nobody sees you, then you do not really exist. But he knows something that you have not figured out yet. He knows that existing does not begin when other people look at you. It begins when you become aware of yourself. He does not react to what happens around him. He acts based on his own choices. He does not follow whatever is popular at the moment. He creates meaning for himself. He does not depend on others for his happiness. He chooses what makes him happy. And that is exactly why they cannot control him. Because you cannot blackmail someone who no longer needs to fit in with the crowd. His sense of who he is does not belong to other people. He does not rent out his identity to whoever happens to be looking at him. He lives his life from the inside out. He does not live based on reacting to what other people do. He lives based on what he intends to do with his own life. And here's where things get really dark and serious. Because when you start living based on your real intentions and making choices that actually belong to you, you discover something shocking. You realize that everything else you have been doing was just automatic behavior. Empty daily routines that you never questioned. Customs and traditions that you inherited from other people. Beliefs that you borrowed from someone else and never examined for yourself. And once you realize this truth, you cannot go back to the way things were before. What you have seen and what you have understood changes who you are forever. It makes you more aware of what is really happening around you. It makes you more uncomfortable with lies and fake behavior. It makes you feel more alive than you ever have before. And it also makes you more alone than you have ever been. Because now you see things that you used to ignore completely. You see the desperation that hides behind people. It's laughter. You see the fear that hides behind what looks like success. You see the slavery that hides behind what looks like abundance and wealth. And you understand that many people would rather stay asleep and unconscious. Because waking up means they have to give up the comfort that comes from believing lies about how the world works. But the person who does not chase after money is not looking for comfort in his life. He is looking for truth. And the truth, even when it hurts to hear it, is what sets you free. It frees you from the need to pretend to be someone you are not. It frees you from having to participate in the theater of competing with everyone around you. It frees you from the ridiculous attempt to squeeze yourself into a shape that suffocates who you really are. That is why his silence carries more weight than 1,000 speeches from politicians and motivational speakers. Because he is not yelling and screaming at anyone. But just the fact that he exists is loud enough to shake the foundations of everything the system is built on. And, this is true. You can feel it when you are around someone like this, because part of you desperately wants that kind of peace for yourself. But another part of you fights against it with everything you've got. Because being truly free also means that you lose all your excuses for why your life is the way it is. And that hurts more than anything else. Because if you can also choose to live a different kind of life, then you can no longer blame anyone else for the life you are living right now. Then everything about your situation changes completely. Then the responsibility for your happiness becomes yours and yours alone. And that is exactly when the system loses every bit of power it ever had over you. Because it can no longer offer you anything that you have not already given to yourself. It cannot offer you a higher status, because status does not matter to you anymore. It cannot offer you a bigger salary, because money does not control you anymore. It cannot offer you fame, because you do not need other people to know your name. It cannot offer you anything at all, because you already have the most important thing in the world. You have yourself. You have your own approval. You have your own sense of worth. And that discovery breaks everything the system depends on to keep working. Because then you no longer sell yourself out for a promotion at work. You no longer get down on your knees just to belong to a group that does not really care about you. You no longer cut off pieces of who you are just to fit into spaces that were never meant for you anyway. Instead, you start to become a whole person for the first time in your life. He lives without decorations, without fake faces, and without needing people to clap for him. Just himself, exactly as he is. And even though this might sound simple, this is what scares a society that is built on making people feel insecure about themselves more than anything else. Because when you do not lack anything in your life, you do not need to buy anything to feel complete. And if you do not buy things, you do not consume products that you do not really need. And if you do not consume unnecessary things, the system starts to lose money and power. And when the system starts losing money and power, it gets scared. Because everything that keeps this whole machine running is not based on what you actually need. It is based on your insecurities about yourself. That is why they keep feeding those insecurities. That is why they work so hard to make you feel like you are not good enough the way you are. That is why every advertisement you see tells you that you need more stuff in your life. You need more things to own. You need more beauty to feel attractive. You need more success to feel worthy. You need more speed to keep up with everyone else. But the person who does not chase after money has broken free from that kind of mind control. And now he walks through life differently. He walks slowly. He pays attention to what is happening right now. He cannot be affected by the lines anymore. He is free. And here's where everything gets even more strange and interesting. Because without even trying to do it, this quiet person who does not run after money starts to have a powerful effect on everything around him. Not on the outside world that everyone can see, but on the inside world of other people, his hearts and minds. Because when someone like him shows up, he does not change the rules that everyone else is playing by. Instead, he changes the feeling in the air around him. Without saying a single word, he exposes the truth about what is really going on. Without forcing anything on anyone, he reveals secrets that people have been hiding from themselves. Without putting pressure on anybody, he uncovers realities that can no longer stay hidden from view. When was the moment you realized you were chasing things you didn't even want? Share your moment below. If you found this video useful, please like it and subscribe to the channel. There are more videos on this channel that will help you become a better version of yourself.